Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Good evening, I'm Dominic Frisby, and coming up in just a moment, it's Headliners, in which we look at tomorrow's news stories today. But first, here's the news.
I'm Polly Middlehurst. These are your latest GB News headlines this hour. The bombing suspect who died in Sunday's Liverpool taxi explosion has now been named by police. He was 32-year-old Imad al-Swayalamin. Counter-terrorism police in the northwest strongly believe al-Swayalamin was the passenger when the taxi exploded outside Liverpool Women's Hospital. The driver, David Perry, escaped with minor injuries. He's being praised for his actions after saying he had locked the car doors moments before the explosion. 4 people have now been arrested under anti-terrorism legislation, and a controlled explosion was carried out at Sefton Park earlier today as a precaution. Meanwhile, the terrorism threat level in the UK has been increased to severe, meaning an attack is highly likely.
Is a stark reminder of the need for us all to remain utterly vigilant. What yesterday showed, above all, is that the British people will never be cowed by terrorism. We will never give in to those who seek to divide us with senseless acts of violence. And our freedoms and our way of life will always prevail.
Well, a cordon was placed around 2 addresses which police say al-Swayalamin was connected to, and they also say significant items were found at one of the addresses. A second property is also being searched. Away from Liverpool, Britain has accused the president of Belarus of engineering a migrant crisis in an effort to undermine European unity. Thousands of migrants are still trapped on the Belarus border with Poland, where the authorities are refusing to allow them to enter the EU. Boris Johnson has said the UK stands shoulder to shoulder with its European allies, as a 5th round of sanctions against Belarus will be finalised over the next few days. In the United States, former Trump advisor Steve Bannon has appeared before a judge to face criminal contempt charges. That's after he defied a congressional subpoena from the committee investigating the US Capitol riots. The Justice Department says one count was for refusing to appear for a deposition, the other for refusing to provide documents. If Bannon is convicted, he faces 2 years in jail. Sport, and England have secured a place at next year's World Cup in Qatar with a 10-0 away win over San Marino in their final qualifying match this evening. Captain Harry Kane netting 4 of those goals, Emile Smith-Rowe also scoring on his debut. Gareth Southgate's team leading the group, and San Marino not winning a single game. Meanwhile, Scotland have secured a seeded playoff spot with a 2-0 win over Denmark, and Northern Ireland drawing 0-0 with Italy in their World Cup qualifier. You're bang up to date. Now back to Headliners.
Welcome to Headliners. Does the news wind you up? Well, this is your chance to get wound up a day early, just in time for bed, as we look at tomorrow's front pages tonight. Instead of creepy journalists, we have mouthy comedians holding court on stuff they know nothing about. Journalists and comics are quite different, really. One of them makes up scurrilous stories purely for the purpose of entertaining people, and the other tells jokes. So, welcome to Headliners. My name's Dominic Frisby. I'm your host. Tonight, my pronouns are WTF. And before we meet tonight's comedians, we run through tomorrow's headlines. The Mail leads with the revelation that the hospital's suicide bomber was a Christian convert. Josh is going to have the details in that in just a moment. The Financial Times has a story to delight leavers and infuriate the pro-EU contingent. Dutch oil giant Shell is planning to shift its tax residency from the Netherlands to the UK. Hashtag Brexit shambles. Metro leads with lucky to be alive, the Scouse cabbie who managed to get out of his car after the bomb exploded. The Independent has Steve Bannon surrendering to the FBI, and also the UK threat level raised to severe after the taxi bomb. The phrase "after the horse has bolted" springs to mind. The Telegraph also has suicide bomber was a Christian convert. Get booster jab to save Christmas, PM tells over 40s, says the Eye, nothing like a bit of passive aggression. And The Guardian goes with the raised threat level, and the Belarus crisis continues with the EU now agreeing sanctions. It also asks, is it time to give children the vote? An appeal to the Guardian fan base there. The Times has the suicide bomber's conversion story and the call to get booster jabs to avoid travel restrictions. The Ministry of Nudges clearly at work. The Mirror has bomber who targeted new mums and babies. And The Star stays on topic as it asks, who are you? This is the latest development in the billionaire rock star feud between Paul McCartney and Mick Jagger, with Roger Daltrey chiming in to back Macca. The Rolling Stones are no more than a mediocre pub band, apparently. And so to tonight's panel of experts. We have Hampstead's 1993 under-14 Woody Allen impersonating champion, Josh Howie, and retired Cumbrian Chippendale, Nick Dixon. So we start off with the Mail, and Josh, a story on the Liverpool suicide bomber.
Yes, let's start funny.
Yeah, I mean, let's do that.
This is the exclusive from the Mail, except for the fact it's in every other newspaper as well. But they've uncovered who he is, details about his life. He was a pizza chef. He changed his name to Enzo, which I think is a little bit racist, personally. And,
Enzo Ferrari, apparently. It's a motor racing fan.
This is the thing. I know this is like really sad, but there is something very funny in the article itself, because they interviews this guy called Mr. Hitchcock, who this guy stayed with for like 6 months, and so they basically had access to him. They asked all about his life, and this is what Mr. Hitchcock said. He said, the fact that he's blown himself up in a taxi in a terrorist attack has really shocked me. As far as I knew, his only interest was go-karting and Formula One. It's like that. I didn't also know that his interests including terrorism.
There's a dark side to the man.
I didn't know it was a hobby. It was but the person I'm more interested in, and of course we need to find out who this person is and how this happened and how he got radicalised, and assuming it is that.
Do we want to talk about the Christian?
Yeah, well, this is it. So this is the big thing, I guess. Yeah, he's a Christian convert. I'm gonna throw it out that might not have stuck.
Right, yeah. Right. You don't think he was radicalised by the Church of England? Possibly
not. I've been to a few church services in my time, reluctantly, it's
Nick, as our house Church of England expert.
Well, exactly. I'm not an expert. I was just going to say, as a Christian, I was a bit gutted to find out he'd converted to Christianity, because it kind of went against my narrative. I was hoping to blame your people, but what happened is... but then he wanted to attack...
It means bald people.
That's what I meant, just for the off-comment. Apparently he wanted to attack the cathedral that he actually converted at, so it made me think, is he totally sincere in his belief?
No,
you know what I mean?
that was his target. And then there was too much traffic, so he decided to blow up a women's hospital instead.
Yeah,
as you do.
Yeah,
good old traffic in Liverpool. Thank God for those roadworks.
Yeah,
stepping in, and
I guess that gave the taxi driver more time to figure out.
This is the real, obviously the hero, Dave. This guy, Dave Perry. He is going to have the best story ever. Like, you'll never believe who I had my cab the other day. Like, that wins out for the rest of time. And
he's going to be given the keys to the city of Liverpool, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know if he was he a black cab driver or was he... If he was an Uber driver, I'm just worried about what his rating's going to be like. Being locked in taxi, 0 stars.
Yeah, he's going to get
5 stars, absolute legend.
No, but from the guy.
From the
guy.
passenger.
Sorry.
Yeah. He locked me in when I was trying to blow up a hospital.
Yeah, it's
0 stars.
No tip. So he's amazing how he did that, and it's brilliant that he survived, and he's supposedly he's not, he's on the mend.
Yeah.
And
now we sort of laughed quite a lot, but we have to remember that this is quite a serious story, so perhaps we have been a little bit tasteless, and we should acknowledge that. But okay, you're both raising your arms.
Yes. If innocent people in this particular case had died, but this Dave Berry has survived, and the person who's been killed is the terrorist, and that's lucky, and it's also because of the actions of a hero, and now I guess it's up to the people to analyse how this happened and whatever. We've been put up to...
But we're definitely anti-terrorism, let's clarify that.
Yeah.
We're against...
At GBNews. I know there's
we're against suicide bombing.
I don't care what people say. I'm against terrorism, all right? I'm just going to make a stand.
I don't mind if they die by themselves. We can have a laugh about it.
OK.
Thank God no one else was hurt.
OK, let's move on to our next story, the Eye.
Let's talk more about this.
No. We are moving on. I'm issuing the law here. Boris is threatening to ruin Christmas again. Nick, what's this?
Yes, well, the Mail has... Boris says he can't rule out Christmas lockdown. So, yes, Boris seems to think he can cancel the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ, which I'm sceptical about. I mean...
I just called him Jesus, by the way.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. I thought you would be a fan. Yeah, I mean, let's face it, I don't really believe he has the power to do this. Jesus has survived a lot worse, in my opinion. He's come through. So I believe Christmas will go ahead, despite what Boris says. What he's done is he's had this press conference. You probably saw it. He said storm clouds were gathering in Europe, so it's a dark war imagery, which cynics might say is an attempt to get you to take the booster, because immediately after he said, take the booster. And there's depending on where you stand on the whole vaccine thing, the interesting thing is now if you haven't had the booster, you'll be thought of as unvaccinated, he basically implies. So you've got to keep getting these vaccines. The only thing that bothered me about all this...
Yeah, but it expires every 6 months, doesn't it? It loses, so you're going to have a booster. Yeah.
I know. So what bothers me... I mean, look, I was watching the press conference thinking, look, Middle England... The great people of England are not going to cancel Christmas this year, I don't believe. Because I always check with my mum about these things, and she's president of the WI. I think that, the heart of England, people are just not going to accept, even if Christmas is cancelled, they're just going to go ahead anyway. That's my opinion. Not do anything illegal.
All I'm trying to do is not make a your mum joke.
Well, I imagine some people will and some people won't, but fewer people will respect it than they did last year.
The only thing that bothered me as well about this whole thing, this whole Christmas cancelled and it's like Boris, he's there, this sort of overweight guy who had an obvious illness, like another illness, lecturing us about health. I mean, I go to the gym twice a week, I do running, I do weights, the whole thing. I don't drink, I don't smoke. Thank you. And then we've basically got an obese sex addict with a super cold lecturing us about health.
It was very funny that all the papers all reported Boris Johnson, who has a cold.
Who has a cold, again.
Allegedly has a cold, who didn't cover up his mouth, visiting the hospital. I mean, for me, it's like when he says...
He needs to up his vitamin D and zinc.
I think it's personally a good sign for Christmas happening, because when he says that he can't rule it out, for me, I just think it's the opposite. Whatever he says is the opposite is true. So I'm not having a fair, I'm having a fair. There's, I can't rule out lockdown. There's definitely not going to be a lockdown. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, he's just the take-up of the booster isn't as good as they hoped. Although the take-up of the vaccine, I gather, exceeded their expectations.
Right.
And now it's just gone It's just giving everyone a guilt trip, basically.
Yeah, and I doubt you accept this, Tom. I mean, let's just look at why should we accept the premise that the government can cancel Christmas? I reject that entire premise. Is that controversial?
Are you one of these people who wants to separate church from the state?
Well, I'm just saying, why do you...
It's a term.
I know it's a term.
I mean, they're not actually going to cancel Christmas, but they just mean you're going to have to spend it on your own.
You just want your Christmas present. You're like a libertarian. You don't think the government should have the power to just cancel Christmas on a whim? Where's that law? They've just made it up.
If we want to get deep for a second, I'm of the view that a voluntarist approach to this whole crisis throughout would have resulted in outcomes that are probably considerably better than what we have.
What you said, exactly.
Sounds good to me.
Next story, Josh. Well, what is this? The Independent and a story on Steve Bannon surrendering himself. What have you got?
Oh, it's actually Nick. Nick's a big fan of Steve Bannon.
Oh, OK. You've got
similar
beards, haven't you?
No, look. Yes, the story is basically...
Are you a keen Breitbart reader every day?
No, I'm not. I disavow what you're saying. Bannon...
That's weird, because
I still want some comedy gigs sometimes. Come on, guys. What are you trying to do to me?
It's just every time I read Breitbart, I'm like, this is really good. This is right. I find myself getting really angry, but I don't read it very often.
I disavow all of it strongly. Bannon...
Why does nobody else know this stuff?
Not the views of GB News. Bannon surrenders to US federal authorities to face contempt charges. So they basically brought Bannon in about this January 6th stuff. And he's saying it's all noise, not signal. That's a phrase he likes to say. He's coming out strongly against it. He says, we're going on the offence. The only thing is, right, and I don't claim to understand the US legal system. Obviously, I understand the UK one perfectly. But the problem with bringing Bannon onto the stage is that there's a media image of Bannon that is awful. But when he actually comes and does stuff, so he did a show, the Tim Pool Show, which is a massive show on YouTube, and all the comments were just like, hey, this Bannon guy's all right. And this was like Bernie fans who found that, he's pro-working class, he wants jobs for Americans, all this stuff. And he's been demonised so much by the media, just for balance. I'm saying, actually, if they let Bannon talk a lot in the media, they might find that people actually like him. That's how it could backfire.
He's a serious brain box. I watched him interviewed by I think it was the editor of The Economist or someone like that 3 or 4 years ago, and he was just so articulate and straight to the point. We've got to get him on this show. He'd be great on.
Yeah, but I mean, how intelligent is he that?
Like super.
Well, okay, but he didn't surrender. He got called in. He failed to meet the subpoena, and then they were like, "Oh, well, now we're just going to arrest you if you don't."
Well, I would imagine.
I think this is part of some grand scheme of his, is it, to be the victim here?
I would imagine he thinks he is the target of a witch hunt, and he's not kowtowing.
Yeah, but then he does. That's the point. After being then arrested or surrendering himself.
I can't defend his actions because I don't know what's going on in his head, and I don't know why he's decided to do what he has done. But he is a formidable intellect.
Okay. And his grooming is a little bit like Josh's, actually.
Thank you. I just think that if you are subpoenaed, maybe you should go. That would be my legal, brilliant advice.
Well, you're probably right, but we don't know.
OK.
And he will have his reasons, and I suppose when we have to take a long, hard look at ourselves and accept that Steve Bannon, so far, has done better at life than we have. So far.
He's not doing the King's Head on Saturday.
No, he isn't. That's one thing.
None of us are in court, to be fair.
OK, thank you very much. What did you just say?
I said none of us are in court, but
none of us are in court, that's fair enough. You didn't like that. I thought you'd be amused when I said he's more successful than we are, but you're not. Never mind. Right, stay with us. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Hello again. Things turning quite windy overnight across northern Britain, and that'll stay that way through Tuesday as well. There'll be a bit of rain for Scotland and Northern Ireland, but most of England and Wales will be dry thanks to this area of high pressure. It's further north, though, where this low and this set of weather fronts is approaching. Ahead of all of that, we've got a dying weather front that's still been making for quite a dank and drizzly day over parts of northern England and Wales, and still some rain and drizzle here through the evening, but it continues to fizzle out. Further south, we could see some fog patches where we have some clearer skies, and that could take a while to clear on Tuesday. Meanwhile, that weather system really pepping the winds up across the far northwest. Quite mild here, but elsewhere a bit of a chilly start to Tuesday. Mostly grey starts, some places seeing a bit of sunshine. A bit of fog in the south will take a while to clear away. Could stick around certainly through the morning rush hour. It's going to turn wet across western Scotland and for a time through Northern Ireland. Spell of rain here through the middle of the day. That'll be followed by some lively showers too across the far northwest. But For most of England and Wales, it'll stay dry. Yes, lots of cloud, but where we see some brightness, it's going to be pretty mild, 12, 13 degrees. Through Tuesday evening, that rain will trickle into parts of northern England and Wales for a time, but again, it kind of fizzles out. Lots of showers will come into Northern Ireland and western Scotland, some snow on the tops of the mountains across Scotland. Staying windy here as well. That will again be a feature of the weather on Wednesday. Quite a blustery day with showers for northern and western Scotland. The odd one for Northern Ireland, northwest England, but again, many southern and eastern areas dry on Wednesday, probably a bit brighter as well, particularly in the south. Better chance of seeing some sunshine, but a little bit cooler with temperatures back closer to average, but still double digits for most. There will be a fairly brisk breeze blowing, though, on Wednesday. It turns milder again through the rest of the week with a lot of cloud, some rain at times in the northwest, but a lot of dry weather as well. Goodbye.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else, I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Revitalised and energised headliners. Before the break, we were looking at the headlines, but now we open the pages and look at some of the other news. I'm joined by Nick Dixon and Josh Howie, and the next story is the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. Josh,
wow.
What is The Guardian? Are you impressed?
Respect for getting that.
I googled how to pronounce it. I always thought it was Ghislaine.
Ghislaine.
Ghislaine. Ghislaine. It's a French name.
Wow.
And do you want my Ghislaine Maxwell stat?
Please.
There are only 5 people per million in the United States called Ghislaine.
Ghislaine. And they all helped paedophiles.
I think only 20% of them.
Good, very quick maths for me there. So this is in The Guardian, where Ghislaine Maxwell, she has appeared, this is the headline, appears relaxed in pre-trial court appearance. And this has got to have been written by a fashion correspondent, because it sort of goes from her crime into kind of Maxwell sported a black turtleneck and grey slacks as she was escorted. The first time she has appeared in court wearing something other than shapeless gel scrubs. And it goes on about her boots, and she's wearing, she was carrying her Poland spring water bottle. And I just think that what happened was they were like, we need someone stat, get to the court. And they was like, I'm at a fashion show, I'll be there in 2 minutes.
I imagine they could have done a lot of that with the photograph, but you can't take photos of pieces in court, can you? So
this is why they have to get. So now I feel like an idiot.
No.
That was very passive aggressively pointed out to me.
You're right, it is funny. It's like she looked...
I was not saying that at all.
No, I know. I'm just
seeking an explanation.
Yes.
It's funny. It's like she looked fabulous while being accused of sex trafficking. It is weird.
And so relaxed, and her shoulders were being rubbed by her lawyers, and
that was it. All the lawyers going to rub her shoulders. What's all that about? They're all queuing up to do it.
Yeah.
And how many lawyers has she got?
Yeah.
She needs a lot by the looks of it. Well, I'm surprised as well. The Guardian have covered this, and they've said...
And we remind ourselves, by the way, that she is innocent until
completely innocent.
Guilty.
That's what I was just saying.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
We've...
That was passive-aggressive.
No, I was just doing it for the broadcast rules. Look... The other, it's Epstein, isn't it? It's obviously tied to this case massively, obviously. And I'm amazed that the Guardian's written Epstein was arrested in July 2019. He killed himself in jail while awaiting trial. I'm amazed the Guardian's allowed to print fake news. I mean, does anyone else think that's actually true except the Guardian? You're looking at me blankly.
No, what? So you could say your
I don't think I'm allowed to.
Say your conspiracy theory.
It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just asking the question.
What? So you think he was murdered?
I'm not saying anything necessarily.
Say it or don't
I'm
say it.
Questions.
Was he murdered or not? Do you think he was murdered?
Well, my humble opinion, just me privately as
Did
a private,
Steve Bannon murder him?
non-legal entity.
What podcast have you been listening to?
Obviously, many people on many sides think that it wasn't completely what we...
And what do you think?
The official story is.
I can't type.
Yeah, obviously it's very dodgy.
This is like watching Jeremy Paxman and Michael Howley.
I'll get a note afterwards saying,
You're allowed to say what your opinion is if you think
again.
he's murdered or not.
Well, in my opinion, then he was having on the harassment.
OK, let's get the story is Ghislaine's court case.
Yeah. Yes.
Have we done Ghislaine? Should we move on
Let's
to our
move
next
on.
one?
Get
Let's
it by
move on. So, Nick, Daily Mail, and what are we talking... fake news.
Exactly.
It's seamless links.
Yes, it's our friend, everyone's friend, Prince Harry. Prince Harry issues fake news action plan. Duke of Sussex releases report from left-wing US think tank designed to tackle avalanche of misinformation. So when I heard Prince Harry issues fake news action plan, I just thought, oh, that's weird, he's admitting it, that it's fake. That was my actual first thought. But it turned out it's merely a campaign. And what it is, essentially, it's an international campaign to stop people being mean to his girlfriend, as far as I can tell.
They're married now, by the way.
Well, yeah, but I wanted to make it sound slightly funny, but you're right, it was inaccurate. But thanks for that.
Sorry.
It's good to fact-check all my jokes.
Wanted to make sure.
The poetry of my phrasing should be fact-checked by you, but you're right, it is his wife. It would have been better. But, yeah, because he said earlier that there's this... He thinks Mexit's a misogynist term, and he actually said that most of the hatred of... hate accounts of Meghan comes down to like 50 accounts online, all run by me.
51.
But yeah, you stole my joke again. It's fine. It's all right. I did it yesterday on Andrew's show, but thought I'd do it again. Yeah, so this is his campaign. Harry's basically going to solve the avalanche of misinformation with a think tank. And is there anything he can't do?
Well, he can't keep his wife from not fibbing.
Well, there's that.
Yeah, I mean that
Are you a Meghan and Harry fan?
I don't care about them, but I mean I thought that her press, there was definitely some dodginess to when you compared the coverage between her and the other princess or whatever, but whoever that one is. But there definitely some But saying that, the more that she has revealed of herself and the Oprah interview and all these sort of fibs came out. And now what happened in court last week, where she basically sort of admitted, oh, I totally forgot that actually, yes, all of that stuff I did say all of that. She's not coming across well.
No.
And this is bad timing to release a thing sort of talking about the avalanche of misinformation.
Yeah, and the solutions that they're suggesting are...
That's shocking. I mean, he's revealed...
Putting the burden of responsibility on the social media companies a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean...
And demanding accountability from those spreading the fake news. But, it's a technology, and basically anyone can put anything on the internet. And if they start regulating these social media companies, we'll just go to distributed social media, decentralised social media, which will be impossible to censor.
I know, it's almost as if you're saying Prince Harry isn't the person to tackle this. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I just think it's futile. It's like trying to, use swords to control gunpowder or something like that.
Yes, but he has a list of 15 specific recommendations for leaders to consider adopting. I'm sure they'll consider it before throwing them in the bin. Anyway, that's Harry for you.
We are going to move on, or have you got something else to say about fake news, Josh?
I don't know. It says it's been the whole thing. It's a 6-month project to develop recommendations for how government, private sector, and society should respond to the modern-day crisis of faith in key institutions. And I would just say, could those places just stop lying? That might be the help. If that would get us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't particularly like Harry. Well, I did like Harry, but I don't like Meghan, and I think he's made a lot of bad choices. But they have been... I mean, it must be quite difficult being them. But then they keep saying... They're always going on the media. So stop. If you don't want people to talk about you in a good... If you go and... If you make yourself a public figure like they do, not everything that people say is going to be nice.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. And then accusing it of... And I'm not saying that there isn't racism there, but it doesn't mean that every accusation into her character is determined by racism. It's like maybe she's actually said some...
Well, I get loads of hate online, but I haven't launched a 15-point plan. Maybe I should.
Yeah. Right.
And I will try and stop. You could just ask me to stop tweeting you.
Celebrity burglaries in the Daily Mail, Nick.
Okay, yeah. So this is in the Mail. Yeah, it says moment gang flee 25 million raid on Tamara Ecclestone's mansion. So thieves jailed for 28 years for UK's biggest burglary spree escaped through back garden before hailing black cab. I know, it's good, isn't it? Because Uber's not reliable anymore, guys. That's the thing. It's just not what it was. It's hard to find a driver.
What happened to the days of the getaway driver?
Oh, yeah, right. It's hard to get them now. Yes, if you are going to do a burglary spree, I recommend a black cab. It's sort of, this story it's sort of funny. Then you realise, or is it harrowing? Because, you know, they've robbed loads of people. Frank Lampard, everyone likes him, don't they? And it's a burglary spree, essentially.
Yeah.
I like how the first thing they did, they got 26 million. This is the largest private burglary ever. And the first place they went to was cash converters. I just think that's brilliant. And they bought to buy a phone. That's like, yeah, could you take this diamond watch, please? How much are you going to give me for this? I'll get the phone with it.
I was quite interested by the names of the three burglars. Two Italian names and a...
Do you mean Yugoslav Jovanovic?
Yeah.
Alessandro Maltese and Alessandro Donati.
Yeah.
I just committed them to memory. Go on, what did you notice about them?
Well, just you're used to sort of, you'd think they'd be called, Jack the Hat McVitie or something, Cockney names, and
we've outsourced it now.
We've got the CCTV footage. Let's have a look at the CCTV footage. This is them running out of the house to get a black cab, is it?
Isn't that your house?
Yeah, this is...
That is a big doll's house, apparently. That is a very big doll's house. Bigger than my house, that doll's house.
When the doll's house is bigger than where we live.
And not some more people doing better in life than we are.
And that's a big trampoline they had.
Did they rob the doll's house or what?
Well, that would be worth a lot of money in and of itself. Hard to fit into a black cab, that's the issue.
Good point. You need that executive Uber.
It's the land on which the doll's house sits that's worth the money. NHS obesity. Josh, this is your...
So this is the Telegraph. And basically, children as young as 2 are going to be prescribed diet coaches as a national drive against obesity. And now, I've only got maybe part of this article, so I can't say fully, but there's one word that isn't mentioned in the whole article.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Parents?
Parents. If a 2-year-old doesn't need a diet, if they are obese enough to need medical attention, they don't need a diet coach. They need social services, as far as I'm concerned.
This is a very conservative point you're making. You're saying it should start with the family. That's like
I've got 5 kids, and if a kid is fat, it's because the parents are feeding them badly and not being disciplined enough. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, that's a very non-lefty point for you. That's an old school.
Well, that's just me being a parent. And being a very judgy parent as well. Yeah. I see kids in the playground.
Do you see other people's kids?
See other kids. I see other kids. I go, they're putting on a lot. Oh, they're not. They're letting too many McDonald's.
Did they all put on weight in the lockdown?
Yeah, they all put on loads of weight. My kids are thin as anything, though.
Do you go over and have a little word?
Send them to do mile runs in the morning before school.
Get out, go for it. There is a problem with overweight children, and it has gotten worse. And I think there were no type 2 diabetes in the year 2000, and now this is in children. And now, for last year, it was 1,500 or so under 18s have type 2 diabetes. So I mean, I see it as a form of abuse personally, and
it is irresponsible parenting, but there is something in our diets that wasn't there 30 or 40 years ago. You look at pictures of people in the 70s, everyone's skinny. Yeah. They consumed more sugar then than we do now, and yet it's really hard to fight the flab. You know about
It's
this.
the big food companies you're blaming.
There's some. The Bitcoiners are all saying it's seed oil. Seed oils. That's the big change in our diets. You know, we thought it was too much carbs. We thought it was unrefined carbohydrate. We thought it was sugar. We thought it was fat. There's been all sorts of theories, but the new one is seed oil.
Whatever it is, I have never seen a fat kid without a fat parent.
Yep.
And that's where the action needs to be got to. And people need to be educated. Whatever it is, people need to be educated and helped. This is a good thing to stop this or to try and prevent it. But
the problem is these centralised schemes don't really work, do they? Because you'll have Boris saying, well, let's have a big scheme and it'll be some social credit.
I narrated a programme about the 80s not so long ago. The government health
Humble
advice...
brag.
Humble brag. But the government health advice in the 80s was to eat pizza.
Nice.
Stay out of it. No. Boris, Brussels, whoever it is. We're going to take a break and we'll be back in just a moment. Don't go away.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners. I'm joined by comedians Nick Dixon and Josh Howie, and we are looking at the news you're going to be waking up to tomorrow. And we move on to the Express and this story about the eastern branch of HS2. Now, Josh, you are our train expert. I gather you've read the first paragraph of the article. Have you got further than that?
I've read all of it, mate.
Can I just say, he asked just a second ago, is HS2 a train? Just
that
for
was
the
a
viewer.
joke!
That was his level of knowledge. That's who we're employing here.
I know that HS2 is a
God
train
bless GB News for giving these people a chance. You wouldn't get work anywhere else.
It's true. HS2 extension from Birmingham to Leeds is facing the scrap. Essentially, what's happening now, and there is a big. I'm now having to try and sound actually like I know what I'm talking about.
I was like, wow, this guy's good.
Holy moly! And Boris faces a revolt from his Red Wall MPs. They got their thing. They got voted in, and now they're going, wait a minute, if we don't get this train extension, we're in trouble in the next election, which is definitely the case, I think. Labour, realising they've got a little opportunity here, is just being like, oh, we'll definitely do it. Guys, come back to us, please. It's a little bit desperate. It's a bit like an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend just be like, I'll do anything you say. Please just take me back. I'll build you your HS2 train extension. Just take me back. So
you saw the analogy failed there and just went into the literal thing.
Have you
really got nasty in the interval.
Have you built train sets for women who've jilted you, Nick?
I don't. How do you know, Dom? No, I've never done that. But I will say, that this is a northern issue. It's the Red Wall fighting back because they're obsessed with this HS2, getting it like from Birmingham to London, like from 37 to 34 minutes. We always hear about Birmingham to London, which is already a great line, but we need more lines for the north. So I think this is correct because I've done gigs in Leeds, and you used to have to get the night coach from like 12 to 5 a.m. Or if you did a gig in Manchester, you just couldn't even get back to London on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So we do need more stuff in the north. I want to shout out Cumbria, because it's just getting, in general, not just trains, but like if my mum wants to go to a hospital or something, they're just moving the hospital further and further away. It's got to the point where you have to stay in a hotel next to it and make it into a mini break. Do you know what I mean? That's what's happening up in Cumbria. So I say we need more train routes up in the north.
Well, I'm not an HS2 fan. I think it is the embodiment of corrupt crony capitalist Britain, but the one line you could justify it for is Birmingham to Manchester and Birmingham to Leeds. London to Birmingham does not need it.
Exactly.
And so,
but also,
I'm with you, my northern brother.
10 billion for 15 minutes.
Well, I didn't check that.
It's hundreds of billions. It's just extraordinary.
Yeah, but that part of it is for 15 minutes, saving 15 minutes, it's going to cost 10 billion. It's not worth it.
But it's already the cost is already three times. It's gone to 100 billion, I think. So what's another 10 billion?
I'm against it. I've changed my mind.
And can I just say, when you do gigs in Manchester and stuff, you should ask for a hotel room.
I don't do them anymore. I've just got down to just London now.
Right, we've got a story in the Mail next for you, Nick. And It's about interior design. And looking at you, I can tell you're a keen interior design man.
I'll take that. Charity that employs Carrie Johnson paid its boss's wife $150,000 for interior design services that were 10% of all its donations, accounts show. So yeah, this is in the Mail. It's a sort of it's a classic interior design corruption story. I mean, I think
it's more of a charity corruption story.
Correct. To be fair, what you said, I understand this story deeply.
It's so good to just have a panelist who goes, what you said.
Well, you've done the work. We have to be very clear. The alleged mismanagement happened before the arrival of the Prime Minister's wife. So let's be very clear. Carrie wasn't there at that point. But it does also then say who took on a senior role at the charity, heading up communications for a medium to high five-figure salary. So it does sound a bit of a cushy...
What is medium to high five-figure? 70 grand?
I know. Well, you're the money guy. You shouldn't take something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's medium to high. They don't want to say the exact number.
Just say the number.
Just say the number. Yeah, it's probably more like 100. But I can't. I'm speculating. But yeah, it sounds a bit.
Digits.
It's a bit of a set someone up with a nice job. That's what it sounds like to me. It's a bit. I think it's a front, Dom. It's a bit like this Christmas tree shop near me that you're like. It looks a bit dodgy. You're like, that's not a year-round business. They're not selling Christmas trees all year. So, she's got this job. I don't know. I can't speculate.
10% of a charity's revenue going on an interior designer's salary smells fishy.
Yeah.
But what's really funny is they were already being investigated by a watchdog. So the year before, she got paid like 12.5 grand or something, and that was enough for the watchdog to come along and go, wait a minute, something's happening here. So the next year, they put it up to 150 grand. It's like, oh yeah, there's definitely nothing to see here. And they put it up 12-fold. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I just want to know, it's an animal charity, supposedly animal wildlife.
The charity remains open to working transparently.
OK, well, good. But I just want to see what kind of houses these animals are living in, because they've got to be pretty swish.
Like Tamara Ecclestone's doll's house, I've no doubt. Right, we have the Times now and a story about missiles in space, as well as being our train expert. Josh, you are our nuclear, space physicist man.
Yeah, I mean,
tell us.
If you could say it, I could be it.
Rocket scientist. You are our rocket scientist. I can think of the word.
I do wear glasses. So, I don't know if you've seen the film Gravity?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when all the debris is going around the Earth and it sort of comes around every hour or so as the Earth rotates.
Is this like bits of asteroid or is it bits of rocket?
No, it's bits of
rocket.
Not even rocket. They blew up a satellite. So they're saying that Russia blew up one of its old satellites. So it's satellite debris, and then what they have to do...
Why did they blow up the satellite?
Because, they hate it. There's I don't like that one anymore. There's rubbish. It's old. It was an old one. So, and also they're probably testing a rocket as well. But that is unconfirmed. Although the people I know down at...
Your mates at NASA.
Yeah, my mates at the Times. But it meant that every 93 minutes they would have this near miss. And what they have to do when that happens is take shelter. You're in a space station. Where are you going to shelter, essentially? They have to then go and hide in their spaceship and their shuttles. But at the same time, I don't see how that's massive protection for you. I think when you're up there, you're kind of
I mean, it's not exactly like you're going in the bunker, is it?
Yeah.
The space bunker.
Oh, we'll just dodge that over here.
Yeah, I was quite worried about all the stuff that's going on. China, Russia and America are all doing stuff up there. You know,
you don't know what's
maybe then World War III starts in space.
Maybe. What I didn't know is that also that the Russians call them cosmonauts still.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like they're very particular. It's almost like the pronouns thing. It was like the Americans are known as astronauts, and then they refer to the Russians as cosmonauts to not offend anybody.
Would you rather be an astronaut or a cosmonaut?
Cosmonaut's cooler, isn't it?
It is, definitely.
Yeah.
Have you got any thoughts on this story, Nick? Any insights to add?
It went over my head. It's just the only bit I liked was it said after unconfirmed reports that Russia had fired a missile at a defunct satellite, because it seemed like such a Russian thing to do, to take that satellite.
Defunct.
Yeah, it just seemed like such a pointlessly aggressive, Putin-esque thing to do. That's
we
all
have
I've got.
no
Prove
time
his
for
masculinity.
Function. Yeah. Give us your festive story from The Guardian, Nick.
Happy to. This is Tesco Christmas ad. 1,500 complain over Santa with COVID vaccine passport. So basically, some ad exec thought it was a good idea to have Santa in an advert appearing with a COVID passport saying he saved Christmas, he's back, and then 1,500 legends complained about it, saying, Santa's promoting medical apartheid, which he kind of was. It asks a lot of questions about Santa. What's he paying his elves?
Can I just say
I think
something?
we might be running the ad.
Oh, we're running the ad
running
as
the
we
ad.
speak. Look at that.
Now, my friend, that's Tom Toll.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a comic.
Yeah, you always see comedians in adverts.
Tom Toll.
Yeah, Tom Toll did it. Well done, Tom.
I'm surprised he's not saying I'm Tom Toll in the ad. He always does that in his act, doesn't he?
I can barely enjoy an advert now because someone I know has got work.
I've got a friend of mine also in this, so I've seen the advert loads of times just to see her bit of it.
Yeah, well, basically, Santa comes in with a COVID passport to save Christmas. That's the premise. Yeah, it's one of these things. Like, so the people who are sort of very anti-vaccine passports, and I'm one of them, we can get a bit serious and sort of go, oh, Santa's promoting medical apartheid. But also, it could just be an ad exec thought, this will be funny, we've saved Christmas. The only problem is if Boris cancels Christmas, it's not going to age well.
I hope this doesn't get us in trouble.
Go on.
But
get you in trouble.
Well, I just want to tell you that Santa's not real. So,
what time is this? Is this after the war?
Are we allowed to say that?
No, you're not. You're actually not.
You're not allowed to say that.
For broadcasting balance, in my opinion, he is.
It's a conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing that's irritated people about the ad, and it probably just was an ad guy was just thought I would just tap into a trend.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of attention to Tesco's as a result of the controversy, which I guess is the point of an advert. They want to get people talking about it, but it is normalising vaccine.
It is normalising. It is sort of putting it in your head. And if you want to be really technical, Santa's coming into the country, so I guess you already need a vaccine to move between countries. You could argue, but yeah, it's definitely normalising it. And everyone's now saying hashtag boycott Tesco. I'm boycotting them because there's a Sainsbury's right by my house. Happy to make the sacrifice and not walk further. What do you think, Josh?
I will still go to Tesco's as I have to do the big shop, and
it's cheaper.
It's cheaper. I'm sorry to say.
How do you feel about Santa brandishing?
Yeah, also Nick and I live very close to each other.
Are you pro-COVID passports then?
That's
no, I'm not. No, not at all. But I avoid Sainsbury's because there's a chance of bumping into Nick.
That is an issue.
That's why I have to stick it out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm boycotting the shop that I don't shop at anyway. Right, let's go to our next story. I rather like this story, but I don't think I would have liked to be the victim of the prank. A prank gone wrong in the Daily Mail. Josh.
Yes, so a suspect battered a WPC after a colleague sabotaged her handcuffs. So essentially, it seems like on the parade when they were all getting ready, someone locked her handcuffs. So when she actually tried to arrest somebody, she couldn't. They didn't work. And she suffered a physical assault. So that is.
How badly did she get beaten?
I think she got punched. Yeah, repeatedly punched. And
didn't know that.
Yeah,
I read that story.
So it's
I regret saying I like this story now.
The police are not doing great at the moment. What's been going on?
No, and that's Greater Manchester. I mean, we've all attempted to do jokes that have gone wrong, and we did them with the best intentions, and somebody complained or whatever, but to play the prank of locking somebody's handcuffs seems like pretty thoughtless.
If you're a police officer, surely you're going to know that you could be in a scenario where you are and doing it to a
and you need them quickly. You've got to get them on quick.
What happened to wedgies? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you didn't like someone else in the police force, you used to, in like an organisation, that sort of banter. not locking their cuffs so that they get beaten up.
Yeah, no, it's.
Am I right?
I was once arrested when I was 15 years old, and I won't say why, but I was actually innocent, but they put me in the police van, and they were driving back, and they lay me down on the floor of the police van with my face down on the floor of the thing, and there was a copper who had his boot over my head, and he's going, right, you're going to tell us who was doing this thing that you won't, because I wouldn't say what was going on.
Yeah, you ain't a snitch.
I was defending my mate, and I wasn't a snitch, exactly. And he said, right, you're going to tell us. And then he stamped down his head right next to my head, didn't actually stamp it on my head. And then they all got up and they were like, hey, you're really good, you're really brave, well done, well done. But I told my dad that story, and he went absolutely, absolutely
And that's when you
bonkers.
tried to join the police force?
Yeah, but I mean, I remember thinking, that was would have been the 80s, so I think times have changed.
And this was actually, all this was put out in a memo, and then it says in the memo that they put it in a memo because they didn't want to put it inside the actual police system for fear of it leaking and creating reputational damage. Someone just leaked the memo.
Right, now every time we get in our cars and we drive to gigs, we all moon the speed cameras. It's like the done thing. And this is the guy who mooned the speed camera, Nick, in the Metro.
Yes, Banksy pays tribute to dad arrested for mooning speed camera. The terminally ill dad says he's amazed after being honoured with a street art mural of his arrest last week that could be by Banksy. This is Daryl Meekham, absolute legend, who, like you said, mooned the speed camera. And it's funny you told that story because, very similarly to you, he was being pushed down. If you saw the video, he was pushed onto the ground by an unnecessary amount of police officers.
Surely they just could have said, come with... I guess they couldn't get the handcuffs open. That's why they had to push him to the ground.
Yeah, it's disgusting. But he was such a legend because he was on the floor saying to them, have you ever wanted to moon your speed camera? He's like, well, I did. He's just so cool. He's on the floor, ill, loads of police, and he's still making jokes because he's an absolute ledge. But yeah, so now what's happened is there's been this mural to him, which is it's Bart Simpson, oddly, mooning some police officers.
Well, it's a famous image, isn't it, from Bart Simpson mooning?
Yeah.
Probably
the reason I said it was oddly is because why choose Bart? Why not just do one of Daryl there mooning? That would be cool.
Yeah, mate, yeah, you got me.
Didn't expect you to fold so quickly there.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's a great story.
Yeah, but he's so happy. He's like, the Bart Simpson is me. It's awesome. He's so happy.
Yeah. He's a positive. He's a positive force. I love his bucket. It was his bucket list, and one of the things on his bucket list was to moon a speed camera. That's a spoonerism of a sentence. Right, Josh, you've got a story in the Sun next about a punch-up in Asda over cut-price pizza. Was this you?
No, but Nick doesn't have an alibi for that particular moment. So yeah, the cut price section in Asda, an Asda shopper slapped a woman with a pizza. As they all went crazy.
That's what pizzas are for. They're not for eating.
Someone filmed it, and it's just bedlam.
Okay,
here we go.
Here it is. We can see it.
Everyone's going crazy. I mean.
We can keep talking over the
toilet paper all over again, isn't it?
They're ripped, but
so
supposedly there was
Wolverhampton
chicken ended up. Look, there's chicken on the floor. People are freaking out. This is they're actually trying to eat it raw.
Bargains. You can't beat the British when there's a bargain.
Yes, oh look, she put it on a. Oh my god! Look,
oh, it wasn't that big a slap. It was a tap.
But still, it's a little bit extreme to be fighting for that. I don't know if you've tried those pizzas.
It was more of a cough.
But what I like was that they said that the Asda worker put out fruit, like oranges, instead to sort of distract them or something.
And nobody wanted the oranges.
Put out the fruit! Stop them rioting!
Also, it happened in Wolverhampton, so I reckon we should just shut down HS2, actually. Close them off from London. This is the kind of thing that goes on in Wolverhampton.
Yeah, well, maybe that's
a good
argument.
Pizzas are too expensive here.
Right.
Right, Adele in the Daily Mail, Mr. Dixon.
Oh, I forgot about this.
She's been opening up to Oprah.
Yes. Oprah's Adele interview, brutal honesty and heartbreak ballads. The singer tells the celebrity interviewer about the pain of breaking up her marriage. So, yeah, this is Adele. I mean, we all like Adele. I don't like to have a go at Adele in any way. So she did this interview. And the great thing about having an interview with Oprah now is it's never going to be the most cringe interview with Oprah because that's already been done by Harry and Meghan. So no matter how bad it is, it'll never be as embarrassing as that. So this is a perfectly good interview. She then did like a cool concert at the Griffith Observatory in LA where I've been. It's a very cool place. And with lots
if he thinks it's cool, it must be really cool.
Oh, it's very cool. She was great. And there was, obviously amazing singer. And there was lots of iconic figures there like James Corden. And basically, it was Adele, who we all love, singing brilliantly to a load of awful people at a tower. But then she did the interview with Oprah. It's not really much of a story other than, you know, Adele's had a tough time. Now she's back. She's lost some weight. It's given her purpose. Good on her.
Are you an Adele fan?
I mean, yeah, she sings some all right songs. I like where she just says, admits to Oprah, I'd want to live and not just survive. I think you're doing better than surviving.
Did you know that Dan, the guy from Semisonic, wrote one of her biggest songs? You probably like that more, don't you? Now you know that. Remember Semisonic?
No.
Cool. Good
Sorry,
banter.
mate, don't mean to shut you down.
That's fine.
Right, so we're going to do a seamless link here from one notable voice to another. Geoffrey Cox is back in the House of Commons. Who is talking about Geoffrey Cox? Because you had a look of panic on your face when I mentioned
No,
the
I
name
just had things out of order, but yes.
OK.
It's great, I do know.
Happy to do this one if you want. Yes, it says he's back. This is in the Mail. Tory MP Geoffrey Cox returns to the House of Commons for the first time since revelations were published about his lucrative second job as a barrister in the Caribbean. And it says he stayed for around 10 minutes sitting on the back benches and chatting with other Tory MPs before leaving again. Sounds like him, doesn't it?
Yeah,
10 minutes.
Yeah.
But how much is that? What does he get? Does he get £1,000 an hour? So that's that's
a lot of
£100
time for him. Good for him. He's like tripled his yearly appearances now.
Yeah, he's been referred to as Parliament's sleaze watchdog. So that's sort of backfired. But yeah, that's it. Jerry Cox, what's the name? Geoffrey Cox did 10 minutes work.
Wow. Well, we've done an hour.
We've done an hour, and we're not.
It felt like longer with Josh.
Yeah. Sorry, mate.
It's all right. We've all learned.
Are you a fan of Geoffrey Cox and his mellifluous tones?
Oh my, no.
He does have an amazing voice, but he's an old. I think he's an old ham.
Sure, but he's not. But he ain't there.
Well,
so
he would be if he wasn't there. Yeah. Nick, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Josh, thank you very much. I hope to see you on the show again. I think you'll both get booked again. I trust
50-50.
that. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back. Simon's going to be back tomorrow, and so watch that. In the meantime, have a lovely day. You have been watching Headliners.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Hello again. Things turning quite windy overnight across northern Britain, and that'll stay that way through Tuesday as well. There'll be a bit of rain for Scotland and Northern Ireland, but most of England and Wales will be dry thanks to this area of high pressure. It's further north, though, where this low and this set of weather fronts is approaching. Ahead of all of that, we've got a dying weather front that's still been making for quite a dank and drizzly day over parts of northern England and Wales, and still some rain and drizzle here through the evening, but it continues to fizzle out. Further south, we could see some fog patches where we have some clearer skies, and that could take a while to clear on Tuesday. Meanwhile, that weather system really pepping the winds up across the far northwest. Quite mild here, but elsewhere a bit of a chilly start to Tuesday. Mostly grey starts, some places seeing a bit of sunshine. A bit of fog in the south will take a while to clear away. Could stick around certainly through the morning rush hour. It's going to turn wet across western Scotland and for a time through Northern Ireland. Spell of rain here through the middle of the day. That'll be followed by some lively showers too across the far northwest. But for most of England and Wales, it'll stay dry. Yes, lots of cloud, but where we see some brightness, it's going to be pretty mild, 12, 13 degrees. Through Tuesday evening, that rain will trickle into parts of northern England and Wales for a time, but again, it kind of fizzles out. Lots of showers will come into Northern Ireland and western Scotland, some snow on the tops of the mountains across Scotland. Staying windy here as well. That will again be a feature of the weather on Wednesday. Quite a blustery day with showers for northern and western Scotland. The odd one for Northern Ireland, northwest England, but again many southern and eastern areas dry on Wednesday. Probably a bit brighter as well, particularly in the south. Better chance of seeing some sunshine, but a little bit cooler with temperatures back closer to average, but still double digits for most. There will be a fairly brisk breeze blowing, though, on Wednesday. It turns milder again through the rest of the week with a lot of cloud, some rain at times in the northwest, but a lot of dry weather as well. Goodbye.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Hello again. Things turning quite windy overnight across northern Britain.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can